Welcome to the Economy Magazine. I'm Benjamin Chung Alfares with the main stories in the global economy. Today's magazine, Israel's tourist appeal continues to rise, and Palestinians promote political tourism to Hebron. First, a look at the headlines. Chinese exports and imports rose sharply in January, contrary to expectations for a weak start to the year. Exports increased 10.6% from a year earlier, while imports were up 10%. Investors took heart at the figures, pushing up stocks across the region and buying currencies linked to Chinese growth. But a clearer read on the country's growth trajectory will only emerge in March. Chinese land sales hit a record $672 billion in 2013, following a lull the previous year. The value of new home prices also shot up to $1.1 trillion in 2013. However, the real estate boom could hint at an economic slowdown as liquidity and financing once again flows into property markets. Wall Street rose for a fourth straight session on Tuesday as Congress agreed to advance legislation extending U.S. borrowing authority. The Republican-controlled House of Representatives voted to increase U.S. borrowings and said they would not attach any conditions to lifting the debt ceiling. The Senate is expected to pass the bill later this week, avoiding more partisan standoffs that have drained economic confidence. The scandal-hit British bank Barclays said it plans to cut between 10,000 and 12,000 jobs worldwide this year. Barclays, which employs 139,000 people around the world, said it would cut 7,000 jobs in Britain. The bank also announced a return to net profit in 2013 and a rise in bonuses. European plane maker Airbus announced 20 orders by Amadeo for its flagship A380 Super Jumbo worth $8.3 billion. The double-decker A380 Super Jumbo is the world's biggest passenger aircraft. Amadeo and Airbus signed the final agreement for the purchase at the Singapore Air Show. Manufacturers at the 2014 Air Show said Asia represents a growing market for defense aircraft, including unmanned systems. And Toyota issued a recall of all 1.9 million third-generation Prius cars sold worldwide due to a programming glitch in their hybrid system. In limited cases, the hybrid system could shut down, causing the vehicle to stop, possibly while it is being driven. About half of the recalls are in Japan and 713,000 in North America. This is the third recall for the 5-year-old Prius, as automakers in general are increasingly proactive in addressing safety concerns. Israel generally features in the international media for its prowess as a high-tech startup nation, but the little Mediterranean country's appeal as a tourist destination also continues to grow. Anthony Lasmi has more in the following report.
This year, 1,500 exhibitors gathered at the 20th International Tourism Fair in Tel Aviv. The Israeli city that never sleeps hosted more than 3 million foreign tourists last year, an ever-increasing number. January 2014 has seen a 9% increase in tourism from the same time last year, despite tensions in the region and a call for boycotts.
First of all, I believe that those who wish to boycott us don't come as they do not know what the reality in Israel is. The fact of the matter is that from those countries, whether Germany and Britain and France and Italy, we just had a major increase just in the last year of 5 and 6 and 7%.
One of the reasons for the increasing numbers may be the Open Skies Agreement with the European Union, which has allowed some airlines to offer new low-cost tickets.
Low-cost airlines are starting to fly to Tel Aviv. This brings the low-cost packages of the youngsters, the people that come here and do not want to spend a fortune for a 3-hour flight. We're offering campings, we're offering youth hostels, we're offering apartments, so Israel has a lot to offer on that.
The old formula of offering package deals with generic flights and hotels are no longer working. These days, the tourism industry looks to personalize the experience.
People are more interested in special tours. So if you do, for example, a private tour, for a little group, a couple or 10 people, they can get different style of tour than if you're coming in a large group in a bus.
For the past 10 years, Israeli wine has steadily improved its quality. The vineyards are becoming a new attraction for tour operators to offer.
Guides, they come to us, they know us, they come with groups. They come to visit us. They know where we are. They know that we make good wine, and we also have a very beautiful winery. That also helps. I mean, the winery is designed very nicely, so, you know.
Ecotourism is still not fully developed in Israel, so sports and camping-focused trips are still the best way to experience nature. Now, with the Winter Olympics on, there is a lot of hype around snow sports. Despite the lack of snow in Israel, one can go to the Negev and surf on the sand.
We're doing the sunboarding in the Negev, in the desert. It's actually like snowboard, but no snow, only sand, combined with the activity of Bedouin entertainment and some jeep trips and good meal, vegan food.
Israel is estimated to make over $16 billion a year from the tourist industry through direct and indirect income. This year, with the rising dollar, this number could reach new heights.
We're joined now by I-24 News correspondent Anthony Grant and I-24 News journalist Daniel Roth for a discussion on tourism. Anthony.
Yes, well.
So, why are these numbers up? How come tourists are flocking to Israel?
Well, I think like a lot of countries that are on the Mediterranean rim, the basin of this region, a lot is packed into a small area. Mm-hmm. And Israel, you know, is maybe not even it's the epitome of this phenomenon where you've got so many thousands of years of history from many peoples, you know, not just Jewish, but all across the board, and that's a big draw. And when you have that coupled with a basically solid tourism infrastructure, which is developing all the time with a lot of, we see new hotels, wine tourism, luxury. You've got numbers that are going to be, you know, increasing despite whatever political problems there are.
Jerusalem specifically, from what I've seen, I mean, these buildings have been going up, all these new hotels.
Yes.
There's a new Wall of Astoria.
Almost done, I think, or certainly
it's
underway.
Really incredible.
Even here in Jaffa, next to the sea, we see a new W hotel is under construction currently.
So would you say there's more of a flock of rich tourists coming into Israel these days?
I think it's growing. I mean, as I was saying before, there's always going to be the appeal of Israel for the Jewish traveler, regardless of what's going on in the world or here, and Jewish American visitors, North America, from Europe. I mean, there's only one Israel, right? Sure. But also when people who have been to Israel, say once or twice, and they've done the classics, Masada, the Dead Sea, maybe they want to spend a week at a wine hotel or in investigating or indulging in that aspect of travel experience.
Well, considering that we're still an economics magazine, I'm going to, I want to emphasize the fact that, well, the shekel has been very strong relative to the dollar and to the euro, making it more expensive. It's not South Africa where like German tourists go and they're like, hey, this is great, my breakfast costs less money. Yeah. It's expensive.
It is.
So do other people still come here, Daniel?
Yeah, they do, and particularly the top two points of origin are the U.S. and Russia, and people are still coming here in droves, in the hundreds of thousands from those two countries, and so I don't think. I think when you compare Israel to other countries in the region, it may be more expensive. But as Anthony said, there's kind of it's kind of a one of a kind place. Along with all the history, there's also the multiple ecosystems. You have the desert and mountainous forest within an 8-hour drive of each other. So there's a lot of things people tend to look for, and over 50% of the tourists coming here are Catholic tourists, and so for them, this is the holiest place to come.
Right.
Interesting to that, I was going to say, I know Alitalia recently added yet more flights from Tel Aviv to Rome. Wow. In particular, for that, they have so many Christian or Catholic pilgrimage-type tourists, travelers, that they literally don't have enough planes going back and forth between Rome and Tel Aviv. So that's a huge market, which really continues quite strong.
And actually, Chinese tourists have also been flocking to Israel in recent years.
Yeah.
Which is a huge market potentially as well.
Yeah.
Japanese as well.
Right. Okay. Well, we're going to go on to the next story we have here. Hebron is the second holiest city in Judaism and the sacred burial site of the biblical patriarchs and matriarchs revered by both Jews and Muslims. But the recent Palestinian efforts seek to pull tourists to the ancient site to show their perspective on the ongoing conflict. Daniel has more in the story.
Hebron has been a hot spot in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Despite the many battles that have taken place there recently, it is also becoming a magnet for tour groups. Over 600 settlers live in the West Bank city, living separately from the more than 180,000 Palestinians. The two groups are divided by military checkpoints and patrolling soldiers. In 2010, this troubling reality inspired a group of Palestinian youth to create Visit Hebron. Their goal was to make visiting Hebron easier for internationals interested in so-called political tourism. The enterprise to attract visitors to this urban microcosm of the occupation is paying off.
Visit Hebron has received in the previous period more than 1,004 groups from many countries, as well as Palestinians in the diaspora and locals. The total number of people was around 7,420.
A German tourist whose trip included visits to Jerusalem and Tel Aviv finds value in seeing the stark reality of life in Hebron.
For me, it's important to come here to visit this place, to see. I mean, the conflict is very present here, and yeah, I just wanted to visit, and it's interesting.
Tourists come to visit the Tomb of the Patriarchs, a central religious site for Muslims and Jews. They also come to listen to Palestinians describing their lives.
We show the world how we are living, and we live under siege, but we can rise. And with all of the obstacles where we live, these tours support our resistance.
Settler-organized tours also take place in the Old City, emphasizing the Jewish relationship to the city and its biblical importance. Official Palestinian tourism statistics show that the number of visitors to Hebron is growing year by year. In 2013, the number hit nearly 480,000 visitors, and Palestinian authorities are planning to officially nominate the city as a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
So Daniel, this report, you did it. What were your experiences in Hebron?
Well, so I wasn't there actually for this report, but I've been there multiple times. Look, I think the reality there is that on the very real level of violence, there's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of strife in the city. And on the even sort of the imagery around you, there's graffiti wars, not just physical fighting, but graffiti. So you have stamped over multiple times over each other, Free Palestine, Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel live, over and over and over each other. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's a particularly tragic story because, I mean, essentially the Jews and the Muslims in Hebron have a long history of living together in peace.
Right.
Which unfortunately in the 20th century was disrupted completely. But what do you make of this situation where the Palestinians are trying to pull in tourists from abroad to see the situation?
Well, I think their situation is such that they're trying to bring people, international eyes and ears, to come and see what's happening there and judge for themselves. And I think on one hand to see their culture and take part in their culture as travelers do. On the other hand, to perhaps help end the situation there.
How would the tourist end the situation? I mean, to me, it seems like a little odd to bring in an outsider, so to speak, a tourist, to see your difficulty. I mean, it's bizarre, type of tourism.
No, I think that it can be seen on one hand as sort of voyeurism of violence. On the other hand, it can be seen as educating people to help make a change.
Right. Okay, going from here to another place that is a place of conflict, Cyprus. You, Anthony, have spent a lot of time in Cyprus, from what I understand.
Yeah, actually, in full disclosure, back in the 90s, I did some consulting work for the Cyprus Tourism Organization, which represents the, I don't say the Greek side, but the officially recognized Republic of Cyprus. Of course, Cyprus is a divided island with the Turkish Cypriot North being sort of a breakaway rump state after the Turkish invasion of 1974 in response to a Greek junta which tried to unify Cyprus with Greece. So it's like a cold conflict, though. It's a stalemate. There's a United Nations buffer force there in the middle, and right now the negotiations have just restarted to try to get the two sides back together. But it's a very calm, peaceful place to visit. I mean, it's a beautiful, rich, archaeologically rich place, beautiful beaches, great food. It's close to Israel. Economically, they had a lot of troubles in the past couple of years, which means that that's brought the cost down of some luxury digs. So you can actually get a good deal.
Would you say that most people actually go to the Greek side? I've been to Cyprus as well, and I loved it. I think it was a beautiful country.
Yes.
But do people actually go to the Turkish side as well?
They do, but it's quite separate. Internationally, most people are going to be going to what I would, again, call the Republic Republic of Cyprus, the Greek side, which is about 2/3 of the island, the southern part.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And Greece, what do you have to say about Greece?
Greece is still a deal because even though economically they're on the mend, it's slow, and you get a lot of bang for your euro, and you get a lot of luxury hotel offerings, much less than it would cost you here in Israel, I do have to say.
Okay,
So-
well, I guess we're going to have to end our show at this point. Thank you very much for your comments, guys. Daniel Roth, I-24 News journalist, and of course, Anthony Grant, I-24 News correspondent, mostly seen in the morning show.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Please continue sending us your comments, feedback on our site, Twitter, and see you again tomorrow.